Hi everybody, my name is Nicole Dixon, and today I'll be talking with you about shaping teaching and learning within schools. I will be discussing how you can introduce professional learning communities in your school environment. You might be wondering what a professional learning community is. Here is a little bit more about that.
According to Richard Dufour in the article, What is a Professional Learning Community? This is every combination of individuals with an interest in education. This can be grade-level teams, school-wide committees, or even groups of administrators. The goal is for these groups of people to reflect critically on education in the school and work toward developing and sustaining a strong school culture that is characterized by respectful, committed, and connected community members in order to foster meaningful teaching and learning within the school community.
Now, why would you want to build professional learning communities within school?
One of the core leadership values is for administrators to develop schools in which every child can grow and every teacher feels like they can make a difference. Through using professional learning communities within schools and developing professional learning communities within schools, school culture is focused on teaching and learning. All stakeholders, including parents, teachers, students, and administrators, and community members, understand the mission and the vision of schools. The highest performing schools understand that a system can only be as good as the people within it. So professional learning communities help to develop the people who are in those communities and provide them opportunities to grow.
According to Richard Dufour, there are three big ideas that shape a professional learning community. The first is ensuring that students learn. There are four essential questions. The answer to the third question, how will we respond when a student experiences difficulty in learning, is what sets a professional learning community apart from a traditional school environment. Big idea number two is developing a culture of collaboration in which teachers constantly work together to analyze and improve their classroom practice. They can ask themselves three questions as they're working through the PLC. Are students learning what they need to learn? Who needs additional time and support to learn? And which students learned what was intended and which students did not? The third big idea is focusing on results. So it's very important that teachers clarify what their essential outcomes are, align the outcomes to the standards, and continually look back at student learning, the results that they get from assessments. They can actually ask themselves, have we made progress on the goals that are most important to us? You might be wondering who joins a PLC within a school. Well, here's a little bit more information about that.
Often the voices that are most heard within schools are those of teachers and leaders. But in a professional learning community, all stakeholders' voices are equally important. Students, teachers, parents, administrators, and community members come together to work at a collaborative process to move toward greater teaching and learning within the school. These voices are extremely important, and leaders are encouraged and should work toward nurturing this variety of relationships. Though building a collaborative community can be very challenging, the success of a PLC is dependent on the willingness, initiative, and effort of the educators and team members working within the PLC.
Now, your first step is actually establishing a PLC. There are a few norms that you need to follow when you are looking at establishing a PLC within your school.
When establishing a professional learning community at a school, it's important for all stakeholders to have buy-in. In order to do this, you must start by identifying collective norms and commitments from all of these stakeholders. These help determine how the group functions. You'll see the behaviors that cause positive and negative feelings, and choosing these norms at the beginning will allow the members of the PLC to reflect on their commitments at the end of the process. You should also set and achieve SMART goals. The goals should be set for the entire school, but also for specific PLCs within the school. The goals should focus on results rather than adult projects, and they should always help students learn at a higher level. The focus really needs to shift from the activities that adults are doing and students are doing to the results that you're hoping to get. It's important to make sure that you also look at the current reality of the situation at your school and then determine what the SMART goal is going to be. You also must develop trust within the team in order to establish a safe environment in which people feel like they can take risks and really talk about what they believe in and share their thoughts on education. There must be consistent communication as well as the development of essential learning outcomes. These essential learning outcomes refer to the skills, knowledge, and attributes that students should have upon completion of a particular course or program of study. So this could be at a grade level, at a specific unit level, or even as they leave the entire school, they complete a program of study at a school.
Here's an example of a team building activity that helped the members of my PLC get to know each other.
Mostly because when I get stuck in little details, it then loses its context for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't like being stuck in this one little part out of this big part. What do other people need to know? That I need time to listen, observe, internalize, and make sense of things myself before I can act or get into details. And then the others that I value, probably the caring, because it reminds me of all of these other directions. Mm-hmm. And the acting, because it pushes me, especially when I'm bogged down with internalizing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can empathize. Yeah.
Now, once you've established a PLC, it's important that you provide opportunities to actually develop that PLC.
Once you've established a professional learning community, it's very important that you provide the instructional capacity necessary for the PLC to find success and to be successful at their task. You must have guidelines for whole staff professional development with PLCs, possibly have Richard Dufour's essential questions for PLCs up on the walls for teachers to refer to or other team members to refer to. Lots of student work available for the team members to look at. Specific tasks assigned to each group. The opportunity to discuss teaching strategies, as well as giving the teachers the instructional knowledge, tools, relationships, and structures that they need for their PLCs to be successful. This might include creating specific times and settings in which PLCs can meet, providing coaches to support teachers and to provide feedback in their work with the PLC, developing teams that have a variety of expertise and knowledge, and ensuring that learning is the focus of the PLC. Admin should continually check in and with the teams to ensure that they are working toward meeting their goal, and should also provide tools for them to keep track of the work that they are doing.
Once you've actually developed a PLC, it's important to think about how you want to utilize a PLC.
There are a variety of ways that you can utilize the work of a professional learning community. The PLC that I led this semester decided to focus on developing a unit planner and a unit focused on the definition of learning that we've recently adopted through the Common Ground Collaborative. Our focus is on aligning student learning with the 3 C's, character, conceptual, and competency learning. We wanted to make sure that the protocol that we went through to organize all of our current information for the unit was simple and effective and would be able to be used by teachers next year who were planning on going through the same process with their current units. We wanted to create a single document to organize the unit. We also wanted to create a reflection for teachers to use at the end of the unit to determine if student learning was actually achieved, as well as a list of guiding questions for teachers to refer to as they were working through the unit planning process.
Here is an example of the impact of our PLC focused on student learning.
My team and I worked on developing a unit planner that aligned our EarthFest, Earth Stewardship Unit, with the Common Ground Collaborative's definition of learning, our CIS definition of learning, and the 3 C's, character, competency, and conceptual learning. We wanted to make sure that we were really highlighting what students needed to learn and what their essential learning goals would be, as well as outlining our standards-based competencies with our reporting standards. We had many discussions about this, and we also needed to outline transdisciplinary competencies, the big concepts and questions, as well as character learning. The focus is really on student learning, so what students are supposed to learn, what we would like them to learn, as well as how they are going to learn. We are also in the process of developing criteria for evaluating understanding goals for the unit so that teachers are sure that the units that they are planning are meaningful and match with our beliefs as a school for teaching and learning. This is still a document that is in flux, and this is just the second iteration of this document.
When leading a PLC, it's extremely important to reflect. So after the completion of our PLC in its current state, I reflected on how I thought that I did as a leader within the PLC.
As I reflect back on the process of leading a professional learning community at my school, I understand the importance of the work that we have done and the importance of continuing to work in professional learning communities. Developing schools into places where students can find success in learning and where teachers can find success and feel successful as educators is imperative to the education process. I'm still growing as a leader because it's something that is very new to me. I am looking forward to continuing on in my development, ensuring that I make sure that all of my team members feel like their voices are heard and that they are equal members within the group, ensuring that we have a collective goal that we continue to work toward and that we're all committed to that goal, and trying to really stick with the time frame of the meetings. In order to do that, I think that the team members will need to be as dedicated to the process as I am so that we can get started on time. This would probably be something that we would need to discuss in the norming part of the PLC, so at the very beginning, because our focus was really on how we felt comfortable working in teams. We didn't necessarily set goals for expectations on arrival and dismissal from the group.
I hope that learning about how to establish a PLC was meaningful for you. Attached are some of my references. Thank you very much for watching.